वेलकम टू Amazon Academy. I am Vipul Mehta. कैसे हैं सब लोग? How are you guys? So we have a lecture on Saturday. Let's make this Saturday very productive. Uh, Thermodynamics. Today we have the first lecture of thermodynamics. This is one topic which is of a concern, which is a topic of concern for a lot of people. And I would recommend that you understand the derivations. Hi MJ, hi PR, hi SD, hi AK, hi SG, hi all of you. Now what happens is in this chapter, a lot of times people directly try to remember the formulae without understanding, uh, the concepts. Okay. So what we are going to do is we are going to, this is for class 11th, yes, and we will be using English as the mode of communication today. Okay. uh, Now today you will sit with me in this lecture, use a pen and paper, we will derive a lot of things together. Okay, and then we will try to do problems. So in the end of the class we are going to do a lot of problems. uh, Make sure that you understand the derivations properly. So use a pen and paper, don't simply just write the formulae. Okay. uh, for people who are joining the first class today, a couple of rules which we should know. People who don't know me, I am Vipul Mehta. I've done my BTech from IIT Bombay. If you have Physical Chemistry by Wiley Publication, I am the author of that book. Some best practices which you have to follow: join the class on time, watch the complete lecture, attend all the classes, revise previous class topics before coming to the class. In case you miss a class, watch the recording. Be polite, be kind with your friends, with your teachers. In general, you should be kind. Don't spam in this class, don't use obscenity, don't use any kind of uncivilized language. Okay. And then there is a My Doubts tab. In the My Doubts tab, basically you can ask any academic question in case you have any specific doubt without disturbing the class. uh, System requirements: if you are watching this lecture on a browser, then basically I would recommend use Chrome or Firefox. If you are using it on mobile, then use Android 6 or greater than that, and make sure that your internet speed is greater than equal to 5 mbps for a smooth session. Okay. So without further ado, I think we should start the lecture today. We are going to cover thermodynamics basic definitions, what are intensive and extensive variables, what are state function and path functions, what are reversible and irreversible process, what are some other types of process, zeroth law of thermodynamics, first law of thermodynamics, sign convention, definition of PV work and work done in different process. All these will be covered today. Okay, so shall we start, guys? Shall we start? All set? All set? Shall we start? Okay. Basic definition. So when I say basic definition, what do I mean by basic definition? Let's say this is the part of the universe on which we are doing thermodynamic study. So this is system. So anything other than system is known as surrounding. So if I ask you what is system, part of universe under thermodynamic study, is system. If I ask you what is surrounding, surrounding is the universe minus system. So for example, if I am doing thermodynamic study on this marker, then this marker is my system. Now everything in the universe except this marker is surrounding. This is clear? Now if you separate the system and surrounding, the separation is done by a boundary. So what does a boundary does? Boundary separates, good afternoon, separates system and surrounding. Okay. So third question is, what are the types of boundaries? What are the types of boundary? So when I say what are the types of boundary, what do I mean by this? So for example, assuming that you are sitting in a room, okay, and this room is a system. So everything after this room is surrounding. Suppose your room has a door which you can see. So basically that door separates the room from the rest of the universe. So I can say you have a door which you can see. So this is a real boundary. Suppose there was no door, it was just something like a hollow space, right? So I will say in that case it is a virtual boundary. So you can have a real or you can have a virtual boundary. Suppose the room was closed, so you have a closed boundary. In case the door was open, it is an open boundary. Suppose the heat can transfer between the room and the universe, so it is diathermal. What do you mean by diathermal? Heat transfer is possible. If I say adiabatic boundary means no heat transfer. Okay, so because of this we have three different types of systems. So if I say what are types of systems, I'll write it on the next page. If I say what are types of systems, so you have an open system, you have a closed system, and you have an isolated system. Hi Rahul. So if I say you have an open system, let's say there is a cup and you have poured some tea in this cup. So there is tea in this cup. Okay. So if this is your system, this is your surrounding. In this case, what will happen? The mass will exchange, yes or no. I will. The mass will exchange between system and surrounding. Will the cup get cold? Yes. So energy is also exchanging. So in open system, mass and energy exchange between system and surrounding. Suppose I keep a lid on this cup. So there is a lid on this cup now. So this is your system. This is your surrounding. So if there is a lid on this cup, what I can say, will the mass exchange now? Will the mass exchange? No. But will the cup get cold? Yes. So I can say mass will not exchange, but energy will exchange between system and surrounding. Third case, assuming that there is a thermos. This is a thermos which is closed, and this is a system. Now this is an ideal thermos. So if it is an ideal thermos, I can say obviously now the lid is closed. If this is system, mass will not exchange. Since it is ideal, there is no energy exchange. The energy will also not exchange. So basically, if you are pouring tea in this, the tea will never get cold if it is an ideal thermos. So if I say in this case, will the mass exchange? No. Will the energy exchange? No. So no mass energy exchange between system and surrounding. Simple enough. So if I give you these cases, can you tell me the boundaries in this case? What is the boundary in the first case? Is it open or is it closed? It is open. Is it real or is it virtual? It is virtual. Is the energy transferred? Yes, so it is diathermal. What is the boundary in this case? Is it open or is it closed? It is closed. Is it real or virtual? It is real. Is the energy transfer taking place? Yes, so it is diathermal. What is the boundary in this case? Is it open or is it closed? It is closed. Yes, it is going to be real and it is going to be adiabatic. Yes. So obviously a pure isolated system is hypothetical. It is not possible. Diathermal means energy or heat can be transferred. If heat cannot be transferred BK, then it is adiabatic. Simple. Diathermal energy transfer is possible. So this is clear to all of you? Yes or no? Yes or no? Now there are other things which might be asked. So for example, if I say what is state of a system, so if I define what is state of a system, state of a system is pressure, volume, temperature of a system. So if I say pressure, volume, temperature of a system, I can say if you change even one of them, the state will change. So for example, if I say that this is state 1 and if I say this is state 2, if I change it from one state to another state, this is known as process. So process is basically changing the state. So by any process, we can change the state of system. And if I am changing the state of system, it can be done in multiple ways. So these ways are known as paths. Path 1, path 2 and path 3. So when I say path 1, path 2, path 3, I can say that basically what I can say that these are the paths by which the state can change. Okay, this is clear to everyone? Yes, shall we proceed? So now before we go to intensive and extensive, let's go to what is state function and path function. Let's say this is state 1 and let's say this is state 2. This is path 1, this is part 2 and this is path 3. Okay, now a state function is independent of path taken. It only depends on initial and final state. So for example, it is like displacement. It only depends upon what is initial state, what is final state. Displacement in all these cases will be same. Yes or no? You will get the notes. You will get the notes. So I can say a state function is independent of path taken and it will depend only on initial and final state. So example of these will be U, that is internal energy, enthalpy, Gibbs free energy, entropy, etc. So all these things we will cover later. Can you tell me over the complete cycle, if I find change of any state function, what will be the value? So if it is a cyclic function over the complete cycle, what will be the change? What will be the change in state function? 0. Because if I am taking a cycle, the initial and final point is same. So it will be 0. Yes, very good. SD, LK, SS, SG. Good. If I ask you what is a path function? A path function is dependent on the path taken. So for example, I can say work done, I can say heat, etc. So these will depend upon the path taken, much like distance. So if I say about distance, what you can say, distance is going to depend upon the path taken, right? So basically depending on path, the value will change. This is clear. Now moving on to intensive and extensive properties. So if I talk what is intensive property. So what is intensive property and what is extensive property? See, any intensive property is independent of mass taken. And if I talk about extensive property, it is dependent on mass taken. We will know. SM, we will know it by practice. Don't worry. Okay. So basically, one thing which you must remember, it is not additive, and this is additive. So when I say it is not additive, yes or no? So for example, if I say density, so if a simple way is, let's say there is a room, the part of density here is D1, here it is D2, here it is D3, here it is D4. So can you add density as D1 plus D2 plus D3 plus D4? Can you add it like this? No, you cannot. So if it is not additive, it is intensive. So density is intensive. Suppose I take, let's say, mass. So mass, I say, if it is M1, it is M2, it is M3, and it is M4. Can I add the mass as M1 plus M2 plus M3 plus M4? Yes, you can. So if I add the mass, it is additive, it is extensive property. Simple enough. Okay, so suppose I ask about, let's say pressure. Pressure is intensive or extensive? Temperature, volume, heat capacity, specific heat capacity. Okay, tell me now, pressure is intensive or extensive? So if I say pressure is P1, P2, P3, P4, can I add pressure as P1 plus P2 plus P3 plus P4 according to Dalton's law? Yes or no? Can I add pressure as P1 plus P2 plus P3 plus P4 according to Dalton's law? Yes, right? So it is extensive? No. Dalton's law is not stating this. Dalton's law is saying if there is a room in which there are 4 gases, pressure P1, P2, P3, P4 being their partial pressures, then you can add the pressure to get the total pressure of the room. If pressure was extensive, the room in which you are sitting is 1 atm. The next room will also have 1 atm. So if you open the door, pressure should be equal to 1 plus 1 atm. It will be 2 atm. So you will die. So pressure is not extensive. Okay, pressure is intensive. Okay. Temperature, definitely you cannot add, it is intensive. Volume you can add, it is extensive. Heat you can add, it is extensive. What is heat capacity? Heat capacity is partial pressure is extensive, but there is nothing like partial pressure is also pressure only, right? Dalton's law is saying that if there is a mixture of gases, then the pressure will be due to the sum of pressures of all the components of gases present. It is not saying pressure is additive. They are two different things. Okay. Now, what is heat capacity? It is heat required to raise temperature by 1 degree Celsius. Okay. So let's say I have a small log of wood. Let's say it is 1 kilogram, and I need to raise the temperature by 1 degree Celsius. Heat required is X. If I take 2 kilogram, the heat will be more. So it is dependent on the mass taken, yes or no. So it is extensive. But if I say heat required per unit mass or per unit mole by 1 degree Celsius. So basically now I have defined that the mass is per unit. Mass is 1 kg always. So in that case it will be intensive, yes or no. So can I write a note? If anything is per unit mole or anything is per unit mass, I can simply say it is going to be intensive, yes or no. Simple. Another thing which you should remember is, if something is intensive, its value is proportional to moles to the power of 0, where n is moles. if something is extensive, the property will be proportional to moles to the power of 1. Okay, so if you have n to the power of 0, it is intensive. It is n to the power of 1, it is extensive. Now how will you use it? I will show you how. Suppose this is the question. If there is a property which has n to the power of 0, it is intensive. If the property is n to the power of 1, it is extensive. I will show you how, BK. Just look at this question. Suppose I ask you, which of the following statement is correct? So let's see. If it is intensive, it is n to the power of 0 upon n to the power of 0. So that will be equal to n to the power of 0. So definitely it will be intensive. So this option is incorrect. Yes or no? If it is extensive by intensive, extensive is n to the power of 1, intensive is n to the power of 0. So this will be n to the power of 1. So this will be extensive. Yes or no? So this is correct. If it is n to the power of 0 into n to the power of 0, hi Heta, this will be equal to n to the power of 0. So this will be intensive. So this is also correct. If it is n to the power of 1 into n to the power of 0, I will get n to the power of 1, which will be extensive. So this is also correct. So you got my point. This was what I was trying to explain. So they might give you questions in these forms. So will you be able to solve now? Not very difficult, right? So can you tell me what is a reversible or an irreversible process? Suppose I take a container, see, please join the class on time, Heta. It is not possible for me to tell you what has happened, right? A lot of things have happened. I am very punctual, so you should also be very punctual, okay? Chemical reaction which can be reversed. No. I'll explain it to you. Listen to me. Suppose a gas is expanding. So if a gas is expanding, what are the two forces acting on the gas? What are the two forces acting on the gas? There is one force which is P external and there is one force which is P gas into A. And let's say this piston is massless. This is massless. So I can say this is P gas. I can say this is P external. Okay. Now listen to me carefully. Listen to me carefully. If I am saying that it is a reversible process, so for example, now all of you know what is a normal reaction, right? And all of you know what is Mg, right? Right? So let's say this is a marker. Can you tell me the two forces which are acting on this marker? The normal reaction in the upward direction and Mg on the downward direction. Yes or no? Now let's say the normal reaction is just very small, just greater than Mg. So let's say Mg is 10. So normal reaction is 10.00000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000 slightly in the upward direction. Yes or no? Now since this difference is very small, you will not be able to see that change. Yes or no? Because the process is very slow. Because normal reaction is much slightly greater than Mg, right? So can you tell me one thing? If I say the process is reversible, I say P gas is just slightly greater than P external because the gas is expanding. So I can say P external plus dP, because P gas will be greater, such that dP tend towards 0. Yes or no? If dP tend towards 0, if this is 1000, this is 1000.00000000000000000000000000000000001, right? So effectively, another way of looking at this whole thing is assume that this is an equilibrium. So one way of looking at the marker is, see, this marker is at equilibrium, there are two forces acting on it, N is equal to mg. Yes or no? Another way, dP small pressure change. I'm writing, okay, small pressure change. So listen to me now. Let's say this is N is equal to mg. So this is equilibrium. This is what you have studied in physics. I can also say, no, this is not equilibrium. The marker is moving up. You will say, I cannot see it. So I will say, wait for 10 to the power of 50 years, and this marker will move by 0.000000000000000000000000000000001 meter. So you will say, oh, it is moving so slowly that I cannot see it. Yes or no? Yes or no? In this case, the same thing is happening. So can I say that the process which is reversible is infinitesimally slow? So I can say reversible process are infinitesimally slow. Or they are also known as quasi-static. So basically it will look like it is static. Quasi means looks like. So looks like static, obviously, because effectively I can say for any reversible process, P gas is equal to P external at all points. This is a reversible process. Clear to everyone now? We will come to it, BK. Wait. I will cover everything. You have to be patient. So this is reversible process. If I ask you, what is irreversible process? A simple thing, P gas is not equal to P external at all points. So basically, if there are 10,000 points, just to give you an example, if there are 10,000 steps, so 9,999 steps, P gas is equal to P external. And at one step, P gas is not equal to P external. Is the process reversible or is the process irreversible? This process is reversible or irreversible? Tell me. There are 10,000 steps, 9999. It is irreversible. Very good, LK. So even if one step P gas is not equal to P external, it will be irreversible. Okay. So if I say sudden contraction, it is reversible or irreversible? Or sudden expansion, it is reversible or irreversible? Tell me. So if it is sudden contraction at one point or at one instant, what will happen? So during sudden contraction, the force which is acting from, so P external will be greater than P gas, yes or no, at one instant. Only then it will contract suddenly. So basically what I can say, it is irreversible because they are not same. If I say sudden expansion, then P gas at one instant, P gas will be greater than P external. AK, why will P external be constant? I am giving you an example. P gas cannot be constant. It is a possibility, right? let's say even if you take P external as constant, P gas is going to change, right? So this condition can still come, right? So even at one moment, why will it be reversible, JB? If P gas is greater than P external, then I can say that the process is irreversible, right? Even if it is true for one point. So sudden expansion or sudden contraction will always be irreversible. Simple. Shall we proceed? What are other types of processes? So this is something which is very common. For example, if I take isobaric process. So what do you mean by isobaric process? Pressure? No, I don't mean spontaneous. I am not using spontaneous LK. No, spontaneous according to English language is not what is spontaneous in chemistry. Chemistry spontaneous means happens on its own. It is not sudden. Okay. So if pressure is constant, so I can say if I draw the PV curve, how will it look like? It will look like this. So basically I can say V1 by T1 is equal to V2 by T2. If I say that we have isochoric process, isochoric process implies V is equal to constant. So if V is equal to constant, let's say this is PV graph. This will be something like this. So I can say P1 by T1 is equal to P2 by T2. If I say isothermal process, so if I say isothermal process, what I can say, isothermal means temperature is equal to constant. So if this is pressure P, this is volume V, it will be something like this. So it will be rectangular hyperbola. So PV is equal to constant. So P1 V1 is equal to P2 V2. This is simple. If I say adiabatic process, so what do I mean by adiabatic process? PV to the power of gamma is constant. So basically the heat transfer Q is equal to 0 if it is adiabatic. Now understand one thing, what is gamma? Gamma is Cp by Cv, which is known as Poisson's ratio. So this is Poisson's ratio. Also gamma, it is approximately 1.66 for monoatomic gas, 1.40 for diatomic gas, and if it is polyatomic or like triatomic, it is 1.33. Okay, so this we are going to cover later as well. So basically I can say P1 V1 to the power of gamma is equal to P2 V2 to the power of gamma, or if I substitute P is equal to nRT by V, I will get T1 V1 to the power of gamma minus 1 is equal to T2 V2 to the power of minus gamma minus 1. Now the graph of this will be very similar to isothermal, but this will be steeper. So I will just show you how. So if it is P, this is V, right? If this is isothermal, okay, adiabatic will be steeper. Adiabatic will be something like this. So this is the steeper curve. Okay, this you will study in physics also. So the slope of isothermal in PV is minus P by V. Slope of adiabatic is gamma times minus P by V. So basically I can say that slope of adiabatic is equal to gamma times slope of isothermal. And now since gamma is greater than 1, this is steeper. Simple enough. So can you try to derive this? So negative. So it is negative in both the cases, right? This is negative here. This is also negative here. Slopes are negative only. Simple enough. So they might ask you a question on this. Suppose I say other types of process. There are some processes like free expansion. What do you mean by free expansion? Free expansion means expansion against vacuum. So what do you mean by expansion against vacuum? Previous slide. Gas is expanded. Okay, but gas is expanded, it's freely expanded. Okay, BK. So what do you mean by freely expanded? There is no effort. If there is no effort, there is no work done. Okay, we will come to that also. Expansion against vacuum. So for example, if I say that there is a gas, so this is P gas, and now I am saying it is expansion against vacuum, so P external is equal to 0. So if I say what is free expansion means that P external is equal to 0. Yes, case of vacuum. Simple enough. This is clear. Everything is clear till now. Shall we proceed? What is zeroth law of thermodynamics? Very simple law. Let's say I am saying A is in thermal equilibrium with B. So if I say TA, TB, if A is in thermal equilibrium with B, I can say TA is equal to TB. So I can say A, if A is in thermal equilibrium with B and A is also in thermal equilibrium with C, let's say this is TC, and A is also in thermal equilibrium with C, then B is in thermal equilibrium with C. Yes or no? Is it not logical? So if I say TA is equal to TB and if I say TA is equal to TC, this implies I can say that TA is equal to TC. Yes or no? TB is equal to TC, sorry. Simple. So this is zeroth law of thermodynamics. Very simple. Shall we proceed? Okay. What is first law of thermodynamics? This is something which we have been studying since class 5 or 4, maybe lesser than that. Energy can neither be created nor be destroyed. It can only change its form from one to another. Simple. Mathematically, what we can say? Mathematically, the same thing can be written as delta U is equal to Q plus W. What is delta U? Delta U is internal energy change. What is Q? Q is heat. What is W? W is work. So if I say delta U is equal to Q plus W, right? Now what we are going to do, listen to me carefully. We are going to do the post-mortem of delta U. We are going to do the post-mortem of work. And if we do that post-mortem of delta U and W, that is, we can find delta U and W in all the cases. Can I find Q in all the cases? Q will be delta U minus W. Yes or no? So if I am able to derive delta U for every case and W for every case, I can find Q in every case. Yes or no? This is the idea behind first law of thermodynamics. Okay. So if I ask you about a couple of conventions, delta U, delta E are the same. They are just different names. What are sign conventions? So if I say work, if work is done by the gas, so if gas is doing the work, gas is pushing. So gas is pushing means expansion. So if work is done by the gas, in physics this is positive, in chemistry it is negative. If work is done on the gas, that means the external pressure is effectively doing the work, so it is going to contract. So I will say contraction, so it will be positive. Now in physics it is just the opposite, but the answer convention definitely will change, but overall nothing will change as such. Okay. If I ask you about heat, if heat is given to the system, heat given to the system, it is positive. Heat given by the system is negative. Simple enough. Right? So now in case of the first thing, which is work, we have to define the PV work. We are neglecting non-PV work. Okay. So understand one thing, the basic fundamental definition of work. This will clear all the concepts. This will clear all the concepts. Listen to me carefully now. So there is an external pressure, P external, and the gas is expanding by dx. Okay. So can you tell me what will be, let's say this is F external, the force is F external. So if this is the force which is, so basically work done dW is defined as work done by external force. This is how you define it. So work basically in chemistry is defined as work done by external force, P external. So if I say W, I will say it is integral F external into A dx. Now what is the angle between these two? It is nothing but integral, I can remove the vector sign, F external into dx into cos of 180 degree. Yes or no? What is cos of 180? Minus 1. So if I say cos of 180 is minus 1, can I write this as W is equal to minus F external into dx? Yes or no? This is clear. Now can I write force is equal to pressure into area? So can I write this as minus P external into A dx? Yes or no? So can I write work as Can I write work as what is A into dx? dv, which is the small volume, minus P external dv. Yes or no? Now this is true always. This is the definition which we are going to learn. Always. Okay. Now using this, we will calculate work in different cases. So let's see. Suppose I give you a first case. First question. Calculate work done in irreversible expansion of ideal gas against constant external pressure is equal to P external from volume V1 to V2. Okay, can you solve this question for me now? I'm giving you 2 minutes. Your time starts now. Start with the fundamental definition. This is the fundamental definition. Minus P external dV. Okay? Start with this. What is the answer? Everyone? How to suggest, how do I study? No, BK, wrong answer. ये देखो, BK, what you are doing is you are remembering the formula randomly. Don't try to remember the formula. That is wrong. That is a wrong approach. nRT V1 minus nRT by V2. No. Let's do this question. What is the first step? W is equal to minus P external into dV. Now this is a irreversible process. So I cannot write PV is equal to nRT because I cannot write P external is equal to P gas. Okay, stop. What I will do next, I know P external is constant. So can I write W is equal to minus P external integral dV? Yes or no from V1 to V2. Now since P external is constant, so can I say W will be minus P into delta V? Yes or no? And sorry, not P, minus P external into delta V. So if I draw the PV curve, let's say this is P external, this is V1, this is V2. What is the area under the curve? Area under PV curve. It will be P external into V2 minus V1. Now this is expansion. So if it is expansion, I can see it is expansion. So I will put a negative sign. That's how you do it. So simply you can see here also, if it is expansion, I can say dV is positive. So I can say W is negative. if I can say compression, so if it is compression, what I can say, dV is negative. If dV is negative, W is positive. No, you said minus nRT ln V2 by V1. In case you said this, it is right. Okay. Can we do the next question now? Okay. Can you solve this for me? Calculate work done in reversible isobaric expansion of ideal gas from V1 to V2. Can you solve this question for me now? Assume pressure is equal to P. Can we solve this question now? I'm giving you 2 minutes. Time starts now. Quickly. Yes. So what will be the first step now? I'm writing the first step. First step is minus integral P external dV. Now I can write it as integral minus P dV. Why? Since reversible is given to me. No, AK, wrong. Since reversible, P external is equal to P gas, yes or no, which is equal to P, say it is given to us P, right? So now I can write P is constant. Since P is constant, P will come out. This will become integral dV since isobaric. Therefore, P is constant. So can I say work is minus P delta V? Yes or no? So if I say the gas is expanding, obviously P gas or P will be greater. So if I ask you what will be the area under the curve in this case, it will be this. So this will be P into V2 minus V1. Now since it is expanding, minus. So can I say magnitude of work in the reversible process will be greater than magnitude of work in irreversible process? Yes or no? Which is true. Reversible basically is a process in which equilibrium exists or energy is conserved. So obviously more work will be done. So can I say reversible process are more efficient? What I'm saying is area under the curve in the first case, in this case will be higher. Why? Because if the gas is expanding, P gas will be greater than P. At equilibrium they will be equal. So P external will always be less than P gas. Maximum it can be equal. Simple. Okay, let's do another question now. Just a second. Okay. Suppose I give you a question like this. Calculate work done by an ideal gas in an isochoric process. Can you tell me the answer to this question? What will be the work done in an isochoric process? So what will be the answer? If it is isochoric, I can start with work is equal to minus P external dV, which will be 0 since dV is equal to 0 since isochoric. Yes or no? Not minus P. Isochoric. You can also see if I ask you what is the area under PV curve for an isochoric, this is area under the PV curve, it will be 0 only, right? If I ask you a question, calculate work done in isothermal reversible expansion of n moles of an ideal gas at temperature is equal to T from V1 to V2. Can you do this question for me? Can you do this question for me now? What will be the answer? What is the first step? W. Yes, now it is correct, AK. This is the first step, right? What is the second step? Since it is reversible, I can write it as minus PdV because it is given to me as reversible. So what is minus PdV? Since reversible, therefore P external is equal to P gas is equal to P say. Right? Simple. No SD, wrong. We will derive it right now. Work is equal to, can I write minus nRT by V dV since ideal gas? P is equal to nRT by V. Can I write therefore work is equal to minus nRT integral dV by V since isothermal temperature is constant? So basically this will go from V1 to V2. So can I say W is equal to minus nRT ln V2 by V1, or I can say W is equal to minus 2.303 RT log of V2 by V1. Now people blindly remember the formula, but that is not required, because suppose if instead of reversible I just make a small change, I make it irreversible and I give you external pressure as P external. So what will be the work? If it is irreversible isothermal expansion against constant external pressure P external, what will be your answer? Suppose I change this question. Instead of reversible, I put irreversible and I say that it is irreversible isothermal expansion against constant external pressure P external from V1 to V2. What will be the work done? Yes, AK. Minus P external into V2 minus V1, because I cannot go beyond this point because it is irreversible. No SG. In this case you can. My question is a different question. Simple enough. Yeah, in this case V2 by V1 you can write as V1, P1 by P2. That's fine. Okay. Suppose let me ask you a simple question. Suppose I ask you, calculate work done in reversible adiabatic expansion of ideal gas with n moles, initial temperature is equal to T1, final temperature is equal to T2. Okay, and you are given gamma is equal to Poisson's ratio. This is given to you. Suppose this is the question which they are asking you. So before we start, I'm just writing a couple of things. If it is adiabatic, PV to the power of gamma is equal to constant. So if I say initial pressure is P1, P1 V1 to the power of gamma is equal to constant, or I can say P1 is equal to K V1 to the power of minus gamma. Similarly, P2 is equal to K V2 to the power of minus gamma. Yes or no? Yes. Now we are going to derive it SD. Yeah, I know NCV delta T should be answer, right? Let's derive it now. Let's try to derive it. Okay. So what is the first step? W is equal to minus P external into dV. Yes or no? Can I write it as minus P dV since reversible? Can I write it is equal to minus K V to the power of minus gamma into dV, because P is equal to K V to the power of minus gamma? Yes or no? From V1 to V2. So can I say W is equal to minus K V to the power of minus gamma plus 1 upon minus gamma plus 1 from V1 to V2? Yes or no? Yes. Can you tell me now, if I use this minus sign and I substitute it here, can I write this as K V to the power of minus gamma plus 1 upon gamma minus 1 from V1 to V2? I can write it like this. So I can write it as K V2 to the power of minus gamma plus 1 minus K V1 to the power of minus gamma plus 1 upon gamma minus 1. Yes or no? I am not on mute. I am not on mute. So can I write this as K V2 to the power of minus gamma into V2 minus K V1 to the power of minus gamma into V1 upon gamma minus 1? Yes, I can say this. What is K V2 to the power of minus gamma 1? P2. So can I say this is nothing but P2 V2 minus P1 V1 upon gamma minus 1? Now since it is an ideal gas, can I say this is nR upon gamma minus 1 into delta T, because it is nRT2 minus nRT1 upon gamma minus 1? Yes or no? Now this is nothing but work done. Now one thing, Cp minus Cv is equal to R and Cp by Cv is equal to gamma. So if you combine both of these, you will get Cv is equal to R upon gamma minus 1. So basically that is the reason you get work is equal to N Cv delta T. So now I also derived it for you. So I don't think it is going to be a problem now. Right? Any questions in this? Any questions in this? This is sorted. Which one? Which part? Which part again? So what I am saying is, if it is adiabatic, this part, so this I can write it as, okay, I'll show it to you. Cv, this part. So for an ideal gas, Cp minus Cv is equal to R, and I say gamma is defined as Cp by Cv. So if I combine these two, I can say Cp is equal to gamma Cv. Yes or no from this? So can I say gamma Cv minus Cv is equal to R? So can I say Cv is equal to R upon gamma minus 1? This is what I have written. Simple. This is clear to everyone. So basically I can write this as NCV delta T. This we will derive in one line also after we completely finish the first law. So this will be very easy then. Okay. So just a second now. Let me add a couple of slides. Okay, let me ask you a simple question now. My question to you is very simple. If you are given a polytropic process which is reversible, okay, a polytropic process, formula is PV to the power of x is equal to constant. This is a polytropic process. Can you tell me what will be the work done? Can I simply say work will be n r upon x minus 1 into delta t? Yes or no? Just like we were able to do it here. Here it was PV to the power of gamma is equal to constant. Now instead of gamma, we have x. Yes or no? So can I say this is the right formula? I've already derived it now. So for example, if I give you a process PV to the power of minus 1 is equal to constant, can you tell me what will be the work in this case? It will be n r upon minus 1 is equal to delta into delta t. No, it is not NCV delta t. NCV delta t is only for r upon gamma minus 1. Okay, SD? BK, I did the same derivation just now. Instead of gamma, there is x. So if it is gamma, it is n r upon gamma minus 1. So if it is at x, it will be n r upon x minus 1 delta t. How difficult is this for you to comprehend? I have done exactly the same thing. Exactly means exactly. Can you tell me what will be work done in free expansion? Can you derive it now for me? What will be work done in free expansion? Can you derive this for me now? So what do you mean by free expansion? Expansion against vacuum. So P external is equal to 0. So W is equal to minus integral P external into dV, which is equal to 0 since P external is equal to 0. Yes, yes, SG. Okay. Yes, it is 0. So this is clear to all of you. Array, in this question, just for example, if it was adiabatic, PV to the power of gamma is equal to constant, work was n r upon gamma minus 1 into delta t, right? So if it is PV to the power of x, the work should be, compare this to this, n r upon x minus 1. Yeah, you are right, I didn't say you are wrong. Okay. Now let's do some questions. Are you all sorted? Ready? Pen, paper ready? First question. 2 moles of ideal gas are subjected to the following. A 400 Kelvin 2 atm, reversible isothermal expansion to twice the volume, isochoric cooling to 300 Kelvin. Find the work done. Write your answer, write your answer, and write your name after that. Write the answer and write your name after that. Shreyas is saying A. Okay. So Shreya's answer is minus 46.09 kilojoule. Okay. Varsham is saying A. Okay. Any other? So let's say volume here is V1. First of all, can you tell me what will be V1? V will be N into R into T by P. So I can say V1 is 400 R. Yes or no? Okay, let's check now. So this is 400 R. Now expansion isothermal. So the temperature here will be 400 Kelvin. Now this V2 is 800 R. Right? If it is 800 R, what will be the pressure? Pressure will be 1 atm here. So if I have to find work from A to B, can you tell me what will be work? It will be minus N into R into T into 2.303 log of V2. What is V2? 800 by 400 minus nRT ln V2 by V1, या minus 2.303 RT log of V2 by V1 because it is reversible isothermal. What is work done from B to C? 0. So what is W total? What is W net? It will be minus 2 into 8.314 into 400 into 2.303 into log 2. Yes or no? What is the value of this? What is the value of this? So it is 2 into 8.314 into 400 into 2.303 into 0.3. So 4595 approximately. So I can say approximately this will be minus 4609 kilojoule. So this will be basically minus 4.609 joule. Why log? Wow. What is the answer for reversible isothermal? SA. Abhi to we did it just now. We just derived it. So the answer for this question will be B. Okay, not A. Okay, Bhuvana Kriti. Can you solve this question for me now? Given equation of state is P into V minus B is equal to RT for 1 mole of real gas, which is compressed isothermally at a temperature T from initial volume V1 to final volume V2 reversibly, then the work done is what? Okay, solve this question now. Can you solve this question now? What will be the work done? C. Jawahar is saying C. Okay. Other people, what will be your answer? Jawahar is saying the answer is C for Calcutta. Varsha is saying C. Okay. SD is saying A. Shreyas is saying C. BK is saying C. Let's do it. First step is, what is work? Work is minus P external dV. Now since it is reversible, I can write it as minus P dV. A is correct. Jigar, Suraj is saying A. Bhuvana is saying C. Okay. So can I say P is nothing but RT upon V minus B with a negative sign dV. So this will be minus RT ln V minus B from V1 to V2. And if I take 1 mole, so put N is equal to 1 in all the cases. N is 1. So work will be minus RT ln V2 minus B upon V1 minus B. Simple enough. C is the right answer. Yeah, I have given you 1 mole here. Basically, if it is N mole, then the answer will be C. So I am just putting N now. So it's better I put all of them as 1, because then this will be, equation will be changing. Put all the N is equal to 1. Okay. Simple enough. Can you solve this question for me? Question number 4. Zinc plus H2SO4 dilute gives ZnSO4 plus H2 gas. Okay. Calculate the volume in open vessel by hydrogen gas assuming ideal behavior at 25 degrees Celsius and 0.9 atm pressure if 200 gram of zinc is taken with excess H2SO4. Can you solve this question for me? C. Okay. Okay. No, this question you have to solve first. Then I will explain MP. B is correct. Okay. SD is saying B. Jigar is saying B. Okay. Now think about this question. Okay. Okay, I'll solve this question for you. So in these questions, what you have to do is, work typically is minus P into delta V. Now this will be minus delta Ng into R into T, because only the moles are changing. Temperature is constant, R is constant, so only the moles are changing. Now the moles of gases are the moles which matter because their expansion is significantly high. So can you tell me what is delta Ng in this case? Delta Ng in this case will be 1, because 1 plus 0 minus 0 minus 0, 1. So if I ask you what is work done is moles of hydrogen. What is moles of hydrogen? Moles of hydrogen is equal to moles of zinc, which will be 200 upon 65.3. So 200 upon 65.3, that is moles of hydrogen, into R. What is value of R? 8.314. Into what is T? T is 25 degrees Celsius. Into 10 to the power of minus 3 will give you kilojoule. You will get your answer as 7.58. Simple enough. And since it is asked calculate the work done, they are talking about the magnitude only in this case. Okay. So this is a good question in which basically I am asking you to, so basically if there are a couple of gases given in a reaction and if you are asked the which one MP, this one, this question, MP, what is your name? Which question are you asking? What is last one? Last question or last step? Last question or last step? It's clear. Okay. Fine. Can you solve this question for me now? Last step. This one. This one. So work is minus P into delta V. Array, because it is a balanced equation. If it is a balanced equation, I can say moles of zinc by stoichiometric coefficient by mole concept is equal to moles of hydrogen by stoichiometric coefficient. Now this is given to you as 200 by 65.3. And delta Ng is moles. What happened now? You got the answer now, right? By simple mole concept. Yes or no? So now this is moles into R into T. This is in joules. In kilojoules it will be into 10 to the power of minus 3. Simple enough? Okay. Can you solve this question for me now? Tell me the answer. A, B, C, D. What is the answer? So I know work done is area under PV curve. So now tell me the answer to this question. The answer is in liter atmosphere only. So what will be the answer? Write the answer, write your name quickly. B. Okay. 0. MP saying 0. B clockwise. A. Wait. Shreyas is saying B. Okay. Jigar is saying A. Okay. Suraj is saying A. Varsha B. B clockwise. Jawahar is saying B. Okay, let's solve this question. So I know that work is area under the curve and work is a path function. So definitely it will not be 0. For example, if you run in a park which is circular, you still get tired. So work is there. Work is not 0. Right? So work is a path function, not a state function. So work will never be 0 if it is a cycle. Now if I ask you what is area under the curve, it will be half into 3 into 2 liter atmosphere. So this will be 3. Now the sign is positive or negative is what I need to check. Okay. So let's say from this point to this point it is expansion. So if it is expansion, this whole area under the curve, the white one, is your work done. So it will be negative. If I go from this point to this point, it is isothermal, no work. If I go from this point to this point, it is compression. So this is the area under the curve which will be positive. So net, what is the answer? What is the curve remaining? This is the net area remaining, which is white. So if it is net area which is white, I can say this is negative. Yes or no? So I can say work will be negative. A simple trick for cyclic process, if it is clockwise, work is negative. If it is anti-clockwise, work is positive. Now you know the reason also. So your answer is B for Bombay. Okay, let's do another question. Can you solve this question for me? What is the maximum work done in reversible and adiabatic process from the same initial and final state in the following? Argon, nitrogen, CO2, XCO3. Can you tell me the answer to this question? work done in reversible adiabatic process in magnitude, what will be maximum? Initial and final state are same. What is the use of anything in life, MP, for that matter? Thermodynamics is the only man-made science which can give you a lot of answer. Shreyas is giving me the answer as A, okay. SG is giving the answer as D, okay. Varsha answer is A, JD answer is D. How to solve? Chalo, I'll tell you how to solve. D is correct, Jigar. D actually is the right answer. I'll tell you how. What is work done? N R upon gamma minus 1 into delta T. Yes or no? No, not like that. SG, wrong. Don't get an answer by wrong method, okay? Don't do it like this. This is what we have derived for reversible adiabatic. Yes or no? This is monoatomic. This is diatomic. This is triatomic. This is tetraatomic. As number of atoms increases, gamma decreases. So this has the least gamma and this has the highest gamma. So if gamma is least, gamma minus 1 is also least. So if this denominator is least, I can say W is max. So this is your answer. Simple enough. Now I don't think you will forget it ever. It's okay to have a wrong approach, but understand the right approach also then. Okay? Shall we proceed? It is not very difficult, right? Shall we proceed? Next question. Do this question for me. Calculate the net work done. It is a PT curve. Number of moles is same. Number of atoms you mean to say, not moles. How will number of moles change? Number of atoms will change. Number of moles can still remain the same, right? No, this is not a JEE question. All these questions are made by me. Okay, they are 100% original questions. Okay, solve this question for me now. What is the answer? A, 0. It will never be 0. Work, if it is a cyclic process, work will not be 0. Okay, tell me from A to B what is the process? From A to B what is the process? Isobaric, isothermal, isochoric. Isothermal. So if I ask you work done from A to B, it will be minus N into R into T ln V2 by V1 or ln P1 by P2. So this will be ln 2 by 3. Yes or no? ln V2 by V1 is same as ln V1 by V2. If I ask you about WBC, it will be minus 3 into V2 minus V1. So this will be minus NR into delta T, which will be 200. N value is 1. WC to D will be minus 1 into R into 800 ln 3 by 2. You watch the recording. I cannot go back again. MP, we don't have that kind of time. D2A will be minus N into R into minus 200. So if you add all of these, you will get W total is minus 200 R ln 3 by 2. That is your answer. So you have to understand, it is not a PV curve, it is a PT curve. Okay. So basically you have to understand that this is isothermal, this is isobaric, this is isothermal, this is isobaric. I will write it. This is isothermal. This is isobaric. This is isothermal. This is isobaric. Simple. So, last question. This question, MP for you only, okay? So last question, the work done in reversible adiabatic process is NCV, which is R upon gamma minus 1 into delta T. Now, as atomicity increases, gamma decreases. Atomicity is number of atoms. So here number of atoms is 1, so this is monoatomic, diatomic, triatomic, tetraatomic. So this will have the highest value of gamma because atomicity is least, and this is MP. Seriously, you're wasting your time or my time here. Why are you doing this? I'm just doing the courtesy of solving this for you. Again, you're asking this question. Seriously. See, if you think you have better things to do, right? It's better you spend your time there, because there are a lot of sincere students who want to learn. Okay? So what I can say from this problem is, if gamma is least, gamma minus 1 is also going to be least. The smaller the value of gamma minus 1, higher will be W. So W will be max. So your answer will be D for Delhi. So I hope today we were able to understand the first lecture of thermodynamics properly, and understand one more thing. Thermodynamics is not one chapter which is going to be a standalone chapter. If you know thermodynamics properly, they will ask you questions of thermodynamics in electrochemistry. They can combine it with chemical equilibrium. They can combine it with ionic equilibrium. The first law of thermodynamics. Okay, so first law of thermodynamics will be asked even in physics. The only thing which will change is the work convention, the sign convention in work. Rest everything will remain same. So I hope all of you were able to understand, and I hope it will be beneficial for all of you. The next lecture will be on Wednesday, in which we are going to study thermodynamics lesson number 2. Now there is a customary thing which we do after every class. You need to make a promise to me that you will revise this class properly. You will do the homework which is given to you. Okay, you will do the DPP questions, and you will come prepared for the next lecture. Quickly make a promise, and then we can call it a day. Perfect. Promise. Only one promise so far. Don't write okay, write promise. We are all man or women of words. Okay. So we have to honor that. Write promise, write promise. Okay, promise. Fine guys, have a great weekend. Please stay safe and happy learning. Yes, you can ask me doubts. Happy learning. Bye.